So we know that stable coins are coming, and we have a few stable coins that have made it to the market before the other ones. We got USDC, then we got RLUSD, which has been issued by Ripple, and that's the one we're going to focus on in this video. Will RLUSD replace XRP? And the answer is absolutely not. It just exacerbates the necessity for XRP. And so we'll break that down for you guys. But before that, let's get into what a stablecoin is, because many people may not know what these are. They might be thinking, you know, this is a CBDC and it's going to be controlled and there's all these things. Nah. This is issued by Ripple. It's backed 1-to-1. They have to purchase US treasuries or dollar equivalents. And this has really been the pilot for the US Treasury in what it's going to look like at a level of excellence for issuing a stablecoin here in the US. Ripple is not themselves a bank, but they are a fintech company that provides financial products and services to institutions and enterprises. And because of that, they have gone out on a limb and done this first. They have Standard Custody, which is a trust bank there in New York that has the BIT license and operates in a regulatory environment that's a little bit more stringent. So they have the ability to issue this in all the states across the US and the money transmitter licenses to be able to facilitate those payments. So there's a lot of backlog and stuff that you have to do for regulatory compliance to even meet these standards to issue a stablecoin. You have many people out there that have attempted to do this, like PayPal, that really haven't had the same success. So once you've got it issued, you've got a couple of options on where you can actually put the stablecoin. Most of RLUSD is currently minted on Ethereum. Now that we have the EVM sidechain live, which is the Ethereum virtual machine, they've started to issue stablecoins there as well. RLUSD is on both, and that'll continue to grow. And with partners like Bybit and MoonPay and other people offering RLUSD to their client base to be able to hold that stablecoin or transact in that stablecoin, people will give Ripple money, basically. They say, hey, here's $50 million. In exchange for this $50 million, we want you to mint $50 million worth of your stablecoin. Stablecoin business is extremely, extremely profitable. There's, you're buying all these treasuries that's garnering this interest. And now with the stablecoin bill as it sits, you're not going to have to pass that on to any of the people that are using your stablecoin. You're not going to be able to generate yield on stablecoins as a retail investor, which, I have my feelings about that. It's not so great. But for these institutions, it incentivizes them specifically to aggregate a ton of US treasuries because they're going to be generating that yield and they have to have that backing for these stablecoins. So they're able to mint those stablecoins on whatever network makes the most sense, wherever the liquidity is, and then they will send those over to whoever has purchased that stablecoin to be able to list it on their exchange or inside their infrastructure to be able to facilitate payments or provide that to their customers or clients. Now, why would people want to use Ripple stablecoin versus just minting their own? Well, again, they have all the money transmitter licenses and other regulatory compliance components that take a long time to get put in place. And then aside from that, you have auditability and trust. They've met with the US Treasury. There's a lot of reasons you might use a third-party stablecoin versus, minting your own. However, a lot of these banks and institutions have already stated that they will mint their own stablecoins. Bank of America, JP Morgan has JPM Coin, Citibank, Goldman. Even had an article the other day that came out and said that they would collude and create a stable coin that was interoperable between all of them. I think that they will operate independently of one another and issue their own stable coins because it provides them the most amount of value. If they commingle funds or have to rely on counterparties, there's just external risk there that's difficult to mitigate when you're dealing in that situation. Even on a decentralized network, we've seen this with other DAOs. We've seen this with other decentralized environments with multiple participants. Risk is a funny thing and nobody wants to take accountability when things go poorly. And so you need centralized parties that are the backers that provide the transparency and auditability and, are custodying these treasuries. So I don't know that they're going to collude or work together to create a stablecoin that's interoperable. I think that they would just use XRP. And so let's get to that point. There's a lot of people that think that these stablecoins make XRP irrelevant. Right? Why would you need, if they're all worth $1 and they accept them all, what purpose does XRP serve? It's a stable asset that transmits value between counterparties that's trustless. And that's the piece there. It's trustless. So let's say all these banks issue their own stablecoins. Great. Now we've just exacerbated Nostro Vostro accounts at scale globally because right now, when you pass currencies between counterparties internationally and they settle into a different currency, which is what these stablecoins would be, the counterparty has to buy a bunch of that stablecoin, in this case, or that, foreign currency and hold it there at the bank to be able to settle into that jurisdiction in that currency. So think about that. Do you think that Bank of America is going to want to buy a ton of the stable coins or pass cash to Goldman and Citi and all of these other banks for them to be earning interest on it? Absolutely not. They're going to want it all in their own stable coin. And so XRP allows for interoperability and instant settlement between even those stable coins that are issued. It's a decentralized exchange or DEX that's built directly into the network that routes liquidity through XRP when it's the cheapest, most liquid asset on the network. And if there are counterparties that are willing to accept a stable coin from the counterparty and use that and remit payment, like retail just thinks in retail terms. Like if you got a Bank of America stable coin, you're probably okay with that. If you got PayPal, you're probably okay with that because it's still worth $1 and you trust that counterparty. But these banks have the underlying incentive that they're going to be buying the treasuries themselves and they're going to want to pass a bunch of cash somewhere else. Right now, there's $27 trillion outstanding in Nostro Vostro accounts that they could be putting to work in their own treasury or lending out or doing other things with that they don't have the access or ability to do because they have to settle with these counterparties. The whole promise of this technology is it removes those frictions and unlocks all that capital. So why would you want to continue to exacerbate that with everybody holding everybody's stable coins? You wouldn't. You're going to adopt a neutral, intermediary, decentralized network that everybody can trust and have a bridge asset that settles all of those stable coins instantly for fractions of a penny. And that's what XRP does. So again, RLUSD, I think, is the pilot, the premier first mover that's, shaking up the market, making sure that it's done the right way, the example for all of these other people to follow. And it is definitely going to utilize XRP because they're not going to continue to want to lock up that capital in Nostro Vostro accounts or even make it even worse than it is today, locking up even further amounts of capital to be able to settle with counterparties domestically here in the US. It just doesn't make any sense. So hopefully this explains this a little bit better for people. I know people are shaken up by a lot of the articles that come out. And again, retail, you're looking at it through the lens of you trusting these counterparties and you're fine with whatever dollar denominated stablecoin you get. But these banks don't operate that way. So if you found value in this, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I crazy? Am I way off here? And why do you think so? And we'll see you guys on the next one.